This video is presented without ad breaks by my patrons on Patreon. Join them. This video contains all manner of transphobia and violence. There's also some alcohol use and flashing lights. Viewer discretion is advised. Imagine if that was just like toilets flying around and like really haunting shots of like plungers and stuff. Occupied.
For everybody's safety, I'm going to need to see your genitals.
I'm making pee. Use another one. Sorry, some people really don't know how to be respectful of people's personal space. So, it's not a light topic, but I'm trying to keep this video a little bit lighter because I had at least 100 people say they cried during my last video essay. Sorry, my life is sad, okay? Clearly, I'm hanging out in a CGI bathhouse toilet just vibing like a urine little cockroach. A urine? An urine. No, you wouldn't say an urine. If you're wondering why I'm hanging out in a toilet stall, I can assure you it's not for any salacious reason. I'm just here at the bathhouse to eat my lunch. Because my therapists all agreed that I need to start going outside more. This counts as going outside, right? This counts as lunch, right? But while I have you here, besties, no, I feel like we're over besties. We need some rats. I'm really into rats. But while I have you here, my little rats, I really need to talk to you about the absolutely, monumentally, horrendously cruel Tennessee anti-trans bathroom laws. These laws are one of many that were recently signed by Governor Bill Lee. Let's shout out to Bill Lee, you fucking sycophantic piece of shit. I hope you step on a rake and it hits you in the face and all your neighbors see and you feel really fucking embarrassed. Here are Tennessee Bill Lee's big transphobic 3. Banning trans kids from playing girls' high school or middle school sports, defunding schools that allow trans people to use the statistically safer bathroom, and requiring public businesses and government facilities to post a sign if they let trans people use their bathrooms, locker rooms, or changing rooms associated with their gender identity. I'm going to be talking about the latter two, mostly the bathroom signage, because if I even let my brain consider the thought of maybe one day entertaining the idea of talking to you about sports, The sign that Governor Bill Lee is requiring will say this. This facility maintains a policy of allowing the use of restrooms by either biological sex, regardless of the designation on the restroom. Let's talk about it. Very wordy, and on the face of it, to most cis people, it seems maybe innocuous. Like if you were at a restaurant and you asked where the bathroom was and your server said, "It's by the ATM machine, hun, but FYI, just a warning, we allow the use of restrooms by either biological sex, regardless of the designation on the restroom." You'd probably be like, "Okay, thanks, I want to make pee, not conversation." To the average cis person, the language comes across at worst as scientific and academic. To a trans person, alarm bells are going off. It's not that trans people don't believe in biological sex, it's that normally when you see someone using that terminology outside of a child science textbook, you're talking to someone who doesn't think you deserve rights, someone who will likely not be treating you as someone deserving of respect or dignity. The anti-trans bill was sponsored by Republican Representative Tim Rudd. Let's shout out to Tim Rudd, you cis supremacist, you two-faced sewer snake. I hope you never know the joy and relief of rubbing expensive, alcohol-free, water-based moisturizer all over your hands when they're super dry and cracking. In a statement released by Tennessee Tim, he said this.
Well, I say, whether you're a man or a woman, don't you want to know who might be waiting on the other side of a bathroom door when you walk in? I'll say.
I feel like I'm trying to sound like Foghorn Leghorn.
Now, who's responsible for this unwarranted attack on my person?
Everyone has a reasonable expectation to the right of privacy and dignity when using the restroom.
Really, Tim? For starters, I wouldn't exactly call a public bathroom private and dignified, but I'm not here to yuck your yum. Or am I? Everyone has a reasonable expectation to the right of privacy and dignity when using the restroom. The narrative that's being implied in that statement is laughably twisted. Everyone has a right to dignity when using the restroom. Okay, so who decides what constitutes dignity for another person? People themselves aren't dignified, it's a feeling born from self-respect and self-assurance. Two things that often aren't likely to occur when you're faced with disrespect, disdain, and skepticism wherever you go. I joked about it earlier, but I do pretty much agree with the sentiment behind everyone has a reasonable expectation to the right of privacy and dignity when using the restroom. What I cannot with is that this somehow means trans people should either be disallowed from or shamed for using the restroom. Or that businesses that support trans people should be forced to comply with this compelled speech. Because I would imagine that most businesses with trans-inclusive policies aren't super comfortable posting this propaganda on their doors. This facility maintains a policy of allowing the use of restrooms by either biological sex, regardless of the designation on the restroom. Well, fuck my non-binarity, I guess. I'll just go make peace somewhere that I can feel dignified, a bathroom that doesn't discriminate based on gender. So businesses in Tennessee have two options. Option one is compliance. Expose the gender traitors, obey the law. So some business owners are going to agree to post this, even though it might offend or drive away their customers or even their staff. Even though it puts a target on the business itself, because while the actual sign in the law mandating it is transphobic, the trans-inclusive bathroom policy itself is not. This law will have a cost on the business that agrees to post it one way or another. In a world where alt-right radicals are increasingly active and emboldened, the sign also puts a target on the business and everyone inside it, including cis people. The conversation around this is also leaving out something that I think is pretty glaring. What if the owner of the business themselves is trans or an ally? The "we need small government and free speech" party is going to mandate government-compelled speech that directly goes against your understanding of the world and your beliefs? If businesses were required by law to put up a pride flag, I'm sure these same Republicans would be fighting that tooth and nail. Hypothetically, if I was cis and I had a young trans person working at my cafe, I don't know if I could put that sign up. Even when mandated by law, I feel like a knot in my stomach just thinking about how that employee would feel walking into work and seeing that sign. I don't know if I could do it. I think a lot of people thought about this that way, thought, I don't want to do this. Because people started asking, well, what if we don't? What are you going to do about it? What will you do to a business that doesn't comply with your signage mandate? Which brings us to the next option. Option B. No. Option 2. No. Yes, option 2. Make me bitch. So at first I thought, okay, what about if we had a little bit of that sweet petulance, some of that malicious compliance? What if you just put up a sign that said, we have trans-inclusive bathroom policies, bigots not welcome? That way you'd still have a sign posted, but one that reflects the reality of your policies and your beliefs. But upon further investigation of the bill itself, the law, not literal Tennessee Bill Lee, changing the wording of the sign isn't actually compliance, malicious, or otherwise. That's because the bill dictates everything about the sign, the wording, the font type, the colors, and even the design of the sign itself. So let's make this. The sign must be 8 inches wide and 6 inches tall, The top 1/3 of the sign must be red and state "Notice" centered in yellow text. The bottom 2/3 of the sign must contain centered in boldface block letters, "This facility maintains a policy of allowing the use of restrooms by either biological sex regardless of the designation on the restroom 2-2-002480. So this is pretty much the standard. Anyone that says that they didn't intentionally design this to be as alarming as possible is either a liar, transphobic, or has a resting heart rate of 1 beat per minute. If I pass this on the way to pee out 4 extra large Diet Pepsis during a date, I feel like I'm about to walk into a room that requires a hazmat suit. This is the definition of alarmist propaganda. So say you're a business owner, you take a look at the sign, and you decide that actually you refuse to put this notice up. The bill itself doesn't outline what the consequences will be for businesses that don't comply. Fines, penalties, arrest, lawsuit, the wall. You can see why people started pushing for answers. Tennessee Tim said later that no state department will oversee compliance, but district attorneys could seek a court order to force the facility to post the sign. But the district attorney would themselves have to be compelled if they refuse to cooperate. In Nashville, District Attorney General Glenn Funk says he won't enforce the law at all. Now, Funk has fought with Tennessee Bill Lee before over a law that forced people providing abortions to tell the patient that they could turn back midway through. It was an obvious attempt to make the experience of an abortion that much harder, and a way to manipulate people having abortions into changing their minds during what may be an incredibly emotionally fraught time. But Funk refused to enforce it, and Bill Lee went on a Facebook rant saying,
Well, I say a district attorney purposefully disregarding current duly elected laws by the legislature is a grave matter that threatens our justice system and has serious consequences. The rule of law is the cornerstone of our legal system. We all took an oath to uphold the law, not to choose what laws to follow based on politics and personal feelings.
Wow, that's crazy. I heard you licked bathroom floors. So thanks, I guess, to Mr. Funk, but not all DAs will refuse to cooperate. And if an order is issued by a DA to a business and the business refuses again, Tennessee Tim said that it's possible that non-compliance could lead to civil liability and would open the door for whatever judicial remedies the court deems appropriate. These are two very loaded phrases in one sentence. Civil liability and whatever judicial remedies the court deems appropriate. So what possible civil liability could be brought upon a business owner? Well, if it's anything like the other bills passed by Tennessee Bill, if someone wants to sue your business because they felt uncomfortable just seeing a trans person in the bathroom, they now can. Effectively, government overreach has now made even allowing trans people in your business into a risk. And not just a risk of incurring harassment yourself or drawing the ire of transphobes to your customers, but a financial ruin through civil suits. Not only that, but the bill was injected into building code, so authorized enforcers of the code include all manner of state officials directed by Tennessee Bill. The state fire marshal, local fire prevention or building officials, the fire department chief, some mayors. Basically, everyone can come harass you about it legally, save for like the town drunk. That's me. I once got so up that I had a blackout where my boyfriend and his 2 married friends Lana Del Rey because they were ended up kicking all the bar stools over where Nicole Richie pours bleach on the pool table, but that's why I've never had red wine in a hot tub again.
Bathroom police, for everybody's safety, I'm gonna need to see your junk, hun.
No, not right now.
Okay, but don't think you got rid of me now. Okay, I'll be back. I'm gonna be back. I'm heading out the door now.
Okay, so this all begs a question that I haven't touched on at all yet. Why are we doing this? Depending on whom you ask, you may get a slightly different answer, but the narrative thread that runs throughout them is always the same. These laws are being put in place to protect people from being assaulted or harassed in the bathroom. Listen, 90% of the time, I don't feel like peeing with pervs either. But if the law mandated flashy red signs on the bathroom doors warning you in boldface about trans people, it's more than implied that they are the inherent danger. That's part of what makes it so transphobic. When confronted about this, Tennessee Tim said, Nah, I say it really protects the transgender community because at least if it's on the door when you go in and that's the business's policy, at least you know what to expect. Timothy, Samantha, protect trans people from whom? The signs were designed by and for cis people, obviously, so when you say, at least if it's on the door, you know what to expect, the you in that statement is cis people. What he's saying is, people who don't want to be in the bathroom with trans people will know not to go in the bathroom here. But how does that protect trans people? It's like he's tipping his hand here, just a bit if you follow it through logically. Because the only danger to trans people would be transphobic cis people. And when you look at the studies and the facts, that's the real truth. Trans and gender nonconforming people know that it's cis people that make bathrooms dangerous because it's they who assault and attack us. In a 2016 study, it was shown that more than half of trans people already avoid going to the bathroom when they're out, and a third limited how much liquid they drank to even avoid having to use the bathroom at all. Why? TERFs and other reactionaries paint this image of trans people clawing to get into women's spaces, but that isn't borne out in the facts. What is shown is that trans women have had access to the bathroom effectively denied, that trans women are refraining from the bathroom enough that it's increased UTIs and kidney infections as a result of public bathroom avoidance, that trans people are being verbally harassed, physically attacked, or sexually abused when using the bathroom. All the studies show that there is no evidence that letting trans people use public facilities that align with their gender identity increases safety risks for cis people. Also, they show that people aren't really getting attacked in bathrooms, except for trans people. When 70% of trans people report being denied access, verbally harassed, physically assaulted in public restrooms, it seems the people who need protecting are trans people. When over a third of trans and or non-binary students are being sexually assaulted in school bathrooms and locker rooms because of policies like this, the danger is perfectly clear. And the signs create this atmosphere of paranoia and fear. Like after reading it, you're going to be looking a little more closely at the people around you, trying to clock someone. And for a lot of trans people, that kind of increased public visibility can be incredibly dangerous. Honestly, businesses should have to put up signs that say they let cis people in the bathroom. They should have to have a billboard on top of the business and it'll say, cis inside, go somewhere else if you expect privacy and dignity when using the restroom. The fact that they've convinced people that these laws are in response to danger and not directly causing it themselves honestly makes my blood fucking boil. Not only because it's dishonest, but because people are getting hurt in the name of safety. And it's not only trans people. These laws put a crosshair on the back of every single gender non-conforming person. Ask any butch lesbian about bathroom policing, and she'll be able to tell you horror stories about being accosted, assaulted, and harassed because contrary to what TERFs and organizations like LGB Alliance will claim, transphobia harms everyone who deviates from their societally acceptable gender roles. As a non-binary person, I don't even know where I fit in this debate. A few years ago, I was at a work party and there were 2 single-stall washrooms that were identical in every way, except for the gender marker signs on the walls. I stood there for a second like, it just seems so unnecessary. And to be honest, it was one of the first times I felt connected to this conversation. For me, it was like, what do I do here? It doesn't matter. Nobody else cares what I do. There's like 10 of us and we're all drunk. We rented like a party room and the bathrooms are single stalls. I guess I could have just run straight forward through the middle like it was platform 9 3/4. More like deplatformed TERFs and 3/4. Honestly, it's not PC, but I wish there had been a bathroom that just said f***. I would have run right in. Speaking of f***, do you love it? I just got it for my first Holy Communion. Can you see it? A coworker actually stumbled out of the woman's bathroom as I was standing there debating like a weirdo and said, "Get in here, bitch." So I did. And nobody felt attacked in the bathroom except for me when I drunkenly looked into the mirror and saw my horrible blocky eyebrows and had to berate myself.
Now who's responsible for this unwarranted attack on my person?
Bathroom police for everybody's safety.
No, I'm trying to enjoy a snack. So I basically said what I wanted to say, but there's something I wanted to emphasize. The people advocating for these laws and policies do it with the full knowledge of their effects. They know that it's proven that the positions they advocate for will increase the assault, rape, abuse, and suicide of trans and gender nonconforming people. That's the point. Their cruelty is the point. It's never been about protecting women or children because their policies directly harm more children and women, even by the TERF definition of a woman. The goal is, well, let's let them explain it themselves.
I have argued that the issue of transsexualism is an ethical issue that has profound political and moral ramifications. Transsexualism itself is a deeply moral question rather than a medical technical answer. I contend that the problem of transsexualism would be best served by morally mandating it out of existence.
Oh my God, or we could not. It's always been about making it so unsafe and inconvenient for trans people that it becomes too much of a burden to bear even going outside. If you ever had any doubt that this was a full-scale attack on trans rights, after my writing this script initially, Tennessee Bill Lee signed a bill banning gender-affirming medical treatment for trans minors, including the use of puberty blockers and hormone therapy, effectively trying to legislate trans people out of existence. Anyone with any knowledge of LGBTQ+ history knows this is always the plan, and it always goes the same way, and it always comes from the same place. Visceral, unbridled disgust. And that can be one of the hardest things to be the subject of. Some people try and assimilate and become one of the good ones so that disgust gets redirected away from them. Some reject the limitations of assimilation and live freely of themselves and receive all the vitriol that accompanies that rebellion. And some just hide. I've been all three at various points, sometimes probably at the same time. If you're trans, two-spirit, non-binary, gender non-conforming, and you're frightened by the force with which the tides feel like they're turning, I don't blame you. I honestly don't know what to offer you other than solidarity and hopefully a couple of laughs. I hope this is a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of deal, but sometimes I feel hopeless. I've stopped ignoring that hopelessness now though, like I let myself feel it and experience it and then I use it. Now I am often up here wondering, what can I do up here in Canada? I don't even go outside, let alone in Tennessee. But hopefully this video drawing some attention to the issue makes even the slightest difference in the world. It probably won't. But there is one other thing that I can do. I use my little laptop that I make these silly little videos on, and I made 3 signs. 1 chill, 1 angry, and 1 that allows for a little personalization, get your stink all on it. These signs can be put up next to signs that are forced to go up on July 1st. The signs all include a link and a QR code that will open a page to email Tennessee Bill Lee and Tennessee Tim directly, as well as an example of some talking points I think are relevant to send them. In a perfect world, everybody would just refuse to put up the sign, but there are plenty of people that may be unable to deal with the legal battles and repercussions for refusing to put up the sign as a conscientious objector. This is an option I thought they would be able to employ without putting themselves at any legal risks. These videos take a while to make, so if you want to hear more ramblings of a 6-foot-tall fat, follow me there. I'm always there. Am I a masochist? Do I hate myself? You can also subscribe to my Patreon, and you can get cool shit for joining, like this stuff, like stickers and postcards and mugs and tote bags and the petrified umbilical cord of Jesus of Nazareth herself. I always read the YouTube comments, by the way, but lately there's been a bit too many to respond to or like. I'm sorry. You should know it keeps me up at night that I can't maintain my usual level of engagement in the comments, but I do read most of them. Apparently, you need to censor words like queer in the comments because YouTube is deleting them automatically and there's nothing I can do about it. So many gorge comments on my Queer Rage video were deleted, and I know y'all put so much heart into it. It makes me so mad when I go to click on the notification on my phone and then it's just gone. It leads to nothing. And I only get to read the first few sentences too. So it's like, it's a cliffhanger. Anne Urine. No, you wouldn't say Anne Urine. Anne Urine, pet detective, put your paws up, rat.